The aqueduct's that way, and it's lovely pizza through there. So it's going to make you a little video about the aqueduct. Never made a video about an aqueduct. I can't even remember holding a conversation about an aqueduct. So I've just done the tour on one of the longboats and gone all the way down through the aqueduct. It's very, very narrow. It's very shallow. It's built over 200 years ago and it's still the original structure. So why am I going on about an aqueduct? I'm not going to go through the historical. You can Google that. It's very, very interesting. I was just told it was on Country File last week, which obviously I didn't see. But anyway, the aqueduct, every couple of years, if not every year, it used to be every 5 years, now it's every year, every couple of years, has to be drained. It's run by a local charitable organisation. So what they have to do is they seal off both ends of the aqueduct, and in the middle of the aqueduct, when it was originally built over 200, I think 1790 or something like that it was built, there's a plug. And directly below the aqueduct is a large river, salmon river, trout river. And they would literally empty the contents, like emptying a bath, empty the contents of the aqueduct, which is very shallow. It's only a couple of feet deep, but very long, into the river below, and then carry out all the appropriate maintenance and repairs. Anyway, they've stopped doing that. What they do now, for environmental reasons, is they block off both ends of the aqueduct, and with two large diesel pumps, they pump out the water from the aqueduct so that it's more environmentally friendly. All makes sort of sense so far. However, here's a few facts that make it not so much sense, if that makes sense. So it takes approximately 2 weeks for the two diesel generators to suck all the water out of the aqueduct. So you've got diesel running, I'm sure it's not 24/7, but certainly for 2 weeks, pulling the water out. And they say that they can't release the water, they can't pull the plug out and let the water drop into the river below for environmental reasons. So the water in the aqueduct above could be polluted and it could contaminate the river below. However, a quick Google search, which I've just done, someone told me about this, otherwise I wouldn't have known, showed that the river below has got at least 4 entry points where contaminated water, raw poo and wee and urine, and other contaminants are just dumped into the river below. So it's already contaminated. I'm not saying we should contaminate it anymore, but it is already contaminated. And all the water companies, I mean, Feargal Sharkey, if you follow Feargal Sharkey on social media, he's the former lead singer of the Undertones. He's on he should be in charge of the water regulation, because he will just show you every single day, if you follow his posts, how the individual water companies dump human sewage, raw waste, etc. into rivers, pollute rivers, contaminate them, kill fish. And why do they do that? Because the water companies, if they were to build improved infrastructure to deal with all this additional wastewater, it will cost them so much money. It's easier to dump it into the rivers, kill the fish, and pay the fine, and then the CEOs get their millions of pounds for hitting the targets. So it's all about saving money. I personally think it's insane. Other people say that's the right way, which is, well, the government thinks it's the right way, so that's what they're doing anyway. So here's my point. The local charity that runs this aqueduct, I personally think, should run for charity. They should sell lottery tickets, and the winner pulls the plug out of the aqueduct, physically pulls it out. It'd be really interesting. I'd definitely pay monies to do it, just so I could enter my little boy in there to pull the plug out of the aqueduct and drain the aqueduct into the river before. It'd be a real spectacle, it'd be really good fun. It would raise a significant amount of money for the charity. And for good causes, would be fun, and I think personally would be the right thing to do. And I also think if they opened up a competition for young budding scientists, they would be able to create a filter that when the plug's poured out of the aqueduct and the water drops down, some sort of filtration system that could slow the flow of water coming down and could filter the water out. I have no doubt some clever boffins could create that. So it would be a win-win for everybody, but obviously, does common sense rule? Well, the problem with common sense, it's not very common. I'm not saying you'll find it here. Thank you for watching.